what's up, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Casters of Horror. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane, and this week we're taking a trip on the Oregon Trail.
Let's hope I don't get dysentery.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon Trail. So it's a little play on words, Organ, as opposed to Oregon Trail. Little play on words, but this is dubbed as a horror western.
It is dubbed as that.
It is dubbed as that. It is from writer Meg Turner, who had done the short film Gnaw previously to this, which I've actually heard of, and I don't remember what I had heard about it. It was directed by Michael Patrick Jan, who had done Drop Dead Gorgeous before this, The State, Let's Go to Prison, which had, I believe it had Dax Shepard in it, I want to say. And it had Bob Odenkirk and Reno 911.
What a turn.
Yeah. He's done mostly comedy stuff.
Yeah.
He did that show Ghosted and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So it's like,
wow,
this is nuts, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there is no comedy in this film whatsoever.
There's
no something else either, but we'll get there in a minute.
There's anyway, let's jump on into the film. It sets up, the story starts out with a family who is making their way across the plains. It's winter.
Late 1800s.
1800s. They end up stumbling while they're out hunting for some food, rabbits and whatnot. Was he the banker, or was he the carpenter, or do you think he was
no idea.
He was the ex-military Civil War dad, and his family. It's a husband and wife and their two kids, son and daughter. They end up coming across this girl who has been left for dead among this camp of a bunch of other people who were found dead there. It ransacked completely, and you're like, oh, here's where the horror begins, because I bet you that's some sort of grizzly type monster, not like as in grizzly bear, but like some sort of monster and stuff. And so,
well, and the film actually opens with, like, you hear a dog whining. Right, like a dog is being attacked or something, and then you see a trail.
Sounds like it's being trapped in a bear trap.
Something I don't even know.
Because you hear this snap, and it's like, Arr!
Yeah,
Arr! And it's like whining and all this, and then it's like, then you see this trail of blood. And, but they find this girl. She's still alive. She has been shot with arrows through the hands, almost like crucified on this wooden plank. But she's still alive, and they help her back to their camp and try to rehabilitate her when basically all hell breaks loose for the family. So let's get the awkward part out of the way first.
Okay.
This is dubbed a horror film.
It is dubbed that. Yes. Look, I mean, how many times
I'm going to be that Kermit the Frog meme.
How many times on this show have you and I, both of us, have said on different episodes that we don't want to be like gatekeeping horror?
Don't want to be gatekeeping horror.
That said,
I agree.
Words have meanings.
Yes. Horror means something, like being afraid.
Yeah. If this is a horror movie, then any movie with a bad guy is a horror movie.
Yeah. Okay. So did you ever see the movie like The Missing? It had like Tommy Lee Jones in it. It's a Western film, and like one of the daughter of one of the ladies goes missing, and he's gonna go help her find it. I think it was Kate Blanchett.
It sounds familiar, but I've never seen it.
Anyway, if that's the correct movie. Basically, there's a ton of Western movies where like the kid goes missing and some bad guy's either taking the kid or something, and they got to go back and rescue the people and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
is 3:10 to Yuma a horror film?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. No, but it's like there's a bad guys, there's people, there's horses,
there's some blood,
some guns. The only thing that I could say that they were trying to say that this was horror was the some of the gore aspect to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've watched Dances with Wolves, with the scalpings and all that sort of stuff. I think that was a little bit more brutal than this.
I mean, I grew up, my dad watched Westerns all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were no different than this, and they weren't horror films.
No, this was not a horror film.
No. And I don't know who to blame for this. It was marketed as horror.
Yeah.
To the point, and look, I also feel like I have to mention, I don't know where the title comes from. Like there was a point where I was legitimately expecting like the bad guys
to rip somebody's organs out.
Exactly. They were going to harvesting the organs or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they were. Yeah. And there's no bowels. There's no. It's just nothing.
No.
I mean, you get some throat slit.
That's honestly that, and the lady with the arrow.
Yeah, the arrows through the hands,
her palms.
Yeah,
that's honestly as probably as gory as it gets.
Maybe the antlers through the hand at one point.
Yeah, but even that's not even as.
No, I've seen knives go through hands,
and this isn't us just being like, oh, we've seen worse. This is not horror. This is a Western.
I mean, it's a full-on Western. Yeah. So I got about an hour into this thing, and I texted Shane. I'm like, first off, this is not a horror film. And he's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I think we still need to go through it.
Yeah. Well, because it was marketed as horror.
It was marketed as it. So,
and I saw a bunch of people on Twitter being like, oh, I gotta watch this. This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I think part of my problem was, and this is honestly my own fault, but 10 years ago there was a video game called Oregon Trail, and it was a reimagining,
not the original.
No, I'm not talking the Oregon Trail. There was a video game called Oregon Trail, and it was a reimagining of Oregon Trail, except it involved, you're driving across the country in your station wagon, and instead of going out to hunt elk, you go out and hunt zombies, So because of that, I had that in my head. And especially with that opening scene, I kept expecting there to be zombies or some sort of critter,
The only homage that they pay to the Oregon Trail in this whole film is actually a sign in one of the, I don't know if it was a brothel or saloon or where it was at, because he comes walking out of a church later.
Well, it was a ghost town.
Yeah. So, but still, it was inside of the building.
Yeah.
And it says the Oregon Trail.
Yeah. And it's got the line.
The line and
my thinking was
topography.
I'm like, wait a minute. Did they actually have that?
The states are already lined out. And I'm like, there was no states at this time.
It was. Oh, well, I mean, there were, but not like. I don't know how far west.
Not that far west. At that point.
And was it even called the Oregon Trail? This is legitimately me being I don't know.
I don't know.
But I saw that it could have been a poster from the game of the Oregon Trail.
It could have been. It was like, it was almost like going to a truck stop somewhere in the, the west area.
Yeah.
Somewhere close to the Oregon Trail and like Pacific Northwest area. And you're like, you see that there's like a men's restroom and a women's restroom. And right between it is this big map.
Yeah. It's like, they took a big mural.
Off the wall. Yeah. And just, So,
this is one of those where they came up with the title. They thought they were original in coming up with the title.
They were like, "This is gold."
Yeah,
this is gold. It is fool's gold.
Yeah, it was fool's gold is what it was.
Fool's gold. Some pyrite.
At least in terms of being a horror movie. Do we want to talk about it in terms of being a Western? I mean,
do we want to talk about it at all?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, look.
You said you were excited to talk about this film, even regardless of.
But the reason was because I wanted to get into the whole "is it a horror movie" thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's really.
Yeah. So, your thoughts on this film as a film? Then, what were your thoughts on it?
Honestly, it was generic. It was fine. As a Western, and that's not even a traditional Western, but just like as a film that takes place in the 1800s on, the trail, I honestly thought it was fine. The acting, I will give them that. I think for the most part, the acting was very good. I didn't have any problems with any of the characters, really. The only thing I would...
For the most part. I will give you that.
Yeah, I'll say for the most part, because there were a few times where maybe some of it was over the top, and I don't know. I would say that the actions and motivations necessarily of a lot of the characters maybe don't always line up. It's one of those that if I had gone into it not thinking it was a horror movie, I would have been like, okay, fine. I wouldn't have really felt like I wasted my time.
Had I gone into it not knowing it was a horror movie, I would not have gone into it.
Agreed.
And this is from somebody who has watched a lot of Westerns.
Yeah.
But I would have probably gotten within the first 38 minutes. Yeah. I'll give it that. Because the movie really doesn't start until 30 minutes in.
Yeah, you weren't kidding when you texted me that. There's like 30 minutes in, and suddenly it takes kind of a big shift. Yeah. To the point where I was like, oh, okay, here's the horror movie. Yeah. And then another half hour ticked by, I'm like, okay, maybe there's a horror movie in here somewhere.
To me, it felt like a generic ripoff of a Rob Zombie. It felt like it was trying to be The Devil's Rejects or Three from Hell, which I loved. It was like it was trying to be a Rob Zombie film, but also a Quentin Tarantino film with the amount of dialogue and the amount of all this extra superfluous crap.
And see, even though I
so long.
Yeah, I didn't hate this film, but I almost think name dropping those two names is giving it too much credit.
No, but see, here's the thing. It was trying to be like those
You think so?
films.
Okay. I will agree it was long.
I don't think it met up with those expectations whatsoever.
There came a point where I was like, I looked at the timestamp, because it's available online. Obviously, you can watch it on Prime Video. It's available if you want to rent it or buy it. I think it's, but I'm looking at the timestamp and I'm like, how is there still 30 minutes in this movie?
Exactly. So. I did the exact same thing. It was coming to this point where you're like, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
And then I hit pause on it to do something. And I was like, how is there still 30 minutes of this thing?
Yeah.
And they drug it out for 30. Yeah. And honestly, I think you could get the whole entirety of this film if you literally sat there and you just skipped forward like a couple minutes. Oh, dude.
Trust me, I was looking.
You were like,
I was looking on my player
and you would still get it.
about halfway through, I was like, okay, can I watch this at like 1.25 speed or something?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, if you're one of those people that watches if you're one of those people that likes to watch our show on a fast speed, that's how you'd want to watch this film.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I don't think a film is a good film or a great film when you're just like, oh, I want this to be over.
Right.
Like, I'm somewhat interested at what happens at the end, but man, I could really use this film not being on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What final thoughts on this film? What? I
mean, I would say if you're a horror fan, and just skip this one. I would say skip it. To be perfectly honest, if you're an any film fan, I would say skip this one. But I also like, maybe it's just because I've seen so much worse that I. That said, the absolute honesty is this one immediately goes to the bottom of my list, and I don't mean to say that to be mean, but we have a horror podcast.
Yeah.
And this is not a horror film. So by default, it has to. And to be perfectly honest, even if it was horror, I think it might still go there because, good grief, I didn't like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but at least I can find some redeeming qualities in it.
Yeah, because you said it was generic. It was blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. But
yeah,
in the end, it was still horror.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel bad, like, for anyone who was getting excited about this because of the potential concept of it being, horror in the Old West or something, or along the Oregon Trail. But no, this was a movie that was titled just to capitalize on the title, and that's it.
Yep.
What about you? What do you think?
I think that this movie tried to take its fist and around like this. I can't take it anymore. Why is this still going on? That's basically how it was.
Yeah.
Skip
it. Yeah. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. So anyway, let us know what you guys think down in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to hit like and subscribe. If there's any movies you guys want us to review or completely eviscerate, let us know down below. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't. Until next week, I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane.
Get the hell out of here, you guys.